All right, everybody, good morning. We're moving on to another position in the draft, and this one is no less important for us to address right tackle. We are going to take a look at some top end right tackle prospects in the upcoming draft, and this is actually a really good right tackle draft, I think. I really like this class of right tackles, especially in the first 2 days. Now, if you take a look at the Seahawks right now, you've got Krivoshein, and he looked interesting, but he is a project. I would still say there's a less than 50% chance he becomes a good NFL starter. So you can't put all your chickens in that coop. Brandon Shell will probably come back at this point on a very cheap deal, probably a 1 year deal, but he's obviously not the future. He's a stopgap. So you've got options. You can definitely use your top pick on a right tackle, or one of your top picks at least, without it being egregious, right? It's not like that position's already covered. So if this team decided to use the number 9 overall pick on a right tackle, or traded down a little bit, or used a second round pick on a right tackle, I would support that. The question is, which ones would we get? So I got a list here of some of the guys who are likely to go in the first 2 days of the draft, and we'll see who stacks up. And there's clearly one guy who's a good head taller than everybody else, but there are a lot of interesting prospects here. So first is McNeill, Alabama product. He is quite simply a monster. Almost 6'8", 337 pounds at the combine. Ran a 4.4540, although not at the combine. He did it prior, so we don't know what his actual 40 time is. He did not run at the combine. Didn't do much of anything at the combine, actually. He has 34-inch arms, we know that, so that's certainly good enough for a right tackle. And one of the reasons why he didn't do anything at the combine is that he doesn't have to, because everywhere I looked has him ranked as a top 5 prospect, except for Pro Football Focus. Everywhere else, 5, 4, 5, 4, 4, 1. So this is probably a top 5 guy. If he got to our pick at number 9 overall, that would be relatively shocking. So right away, I'm going to say low odds on him getting there. It's not impossible. It's not like Hutchinson. Hutchinson's never going to be there for us. McNeill could be, but the odds are low. But because there is a chance, I do want to take some time to talk about him, because I know that taking a right tackle in the top 10 is a little bit of a questionable proposition. But let's talk through this. So the pros with McNeill are obvious. He's massive, dominant against the run. If you get him, he should be able to handle right tackle run blocking for as long as he can stay in the NFL. You have no worries about that. He is a dominant run blocker, pretty much guaranteed at the NFL level. He is very low bust potential. He's hard to get around at pass blocking because he's so wide and has good arms. So you're not really going to get around him when you're trying to edge rush around him. So the speed rushers, they're going to have a little bit of a hard time maneuvering into the pocket. He did play left tackle at Alabama, and some people say he can do it at the NFL level. I feel like I don't feel like he has what it takes to be left tackle in the NFL. I feel like he's a right tackle, but he did play pretty well at left tackle last year at Alabama. It's not beyond the pale to say he could do it again. His technique is actually pretty good. This is not somebody who wins just because he's stronger than everyone else. This is somebody who has good tackle technique as well. So this is one of the best right tackle prospects you'll come across for quite some time. Now, with all that being said, I don't know if he's a great fit for his own scheme. I don't think it's the end of the world, because if you take a look at like the McVay scheme, what the Rams have been doing lately, their tackles are not that mobile. Their tackles, they like Andrew Whitworth was not great playing in space. He was great in a phone booth, and that's how I kind of feel about McNeill. He's good in a phone booth, but in the McVay offense as it is right now, the mobility of the offensive line is mostly centered in the guard and center positions. With the tackles, I feel like you can get away with a little bit more. I don't think it has to be that way, but you can get away with it, clearly. The Rams have had a lot of success lately with offensive linemen that you would not call super mobile. So I don't know about the scheme fit. It has to be pointed out. The main actual issue with Evan Neal would just be some effort concerns. He is going to need the right environment, the right circumstances to get the best out of him. But you are getting a blue chipper, a true blue chipper right tackle, I think. Some people are a little concerned he'll have to be kicked inside, and then they're worried, is he going to be able to play inside at guard because he's so tall? I'm not that worried about that. I think Evan Neal's going to be good at right tackle. So if he was there at number 9, even though I have some concerns, mostly stemming from the fact that he is a right tackle, I would do it. I would definitely do it. He should be a dominant run-blocking right tackle at the very least. And if you can get his effort level up, I think he's going to hold up fine in pass protection as well. So Evan Neal has to be on the list of guys who would be really cool to take at number 9 overall for the Seahawks. Let's move on to some lesser but still really interesting prospects. Okay, we got Trevor Penning up next. Now, I want to be clear. Trevor Penning's really nice prospect. He is. I don't have anything bad to say about him, but I dread this. I truly dread Pete Carroll being Pete Carroll and doing Pete Carroll things, deciding we need to bring this guy in at number 9 overall. And I'll say this right now. If you get Trevor Penning in the second round, that's awesome. If you get him at about 20 after a big trade back to like maybe the 20 to 25 range, maybe even up to like 18, cool. But if you take him number 9 overall, that is a bullet that I'm going to be watching going into my brain. I'm ready for it. And I just know that if that happens, I'm not happy. But Trevor Penning, nice prospect all the same. Northern Iowa, 6'7", 325 pounds, so he's tall, he's big, ran a nice 40, he's a great athlete, 4.89. I mean, for a 325-pound man, that's pretty wow. 7.253 cone, 4.62 20-yard shuttle, great measurables in terms of his ability to move. 34.3-inch arms, so his arms are nice and long. And as you can see, most of the big boards have him in that mid to late first round range. The only one that doesn't is CBS. They have him as a high to mid second rounder. So what's the scoop on Trevor Penning? The things that you would like about him are that he has left tackle upside. He did play left tackle in college. If he can figure out some of his leverage issues, I give him a chance to be able to play on the left side. I don't like his chances, but it's possible. He's a very good athlete for his size. He can play in space. Powerful against the run. He's dominant in pass protection. And I know a lot of you guys might be saying, like, well, why don't you like him at number 9 then? We'll get to that. He's not somebody you're going to overpower. He's got a lot of strength. And he's got good range in terms of being able to move laterally to stay in front of people. And I'll say it again. If you can get him in the early second or even a trade for a late first, then I'm pretty excited about that. I can mess with that. But he is tall and he gets out leveraged. And unlike Evan Neal, I feel like that is more of an inhibitor for him. And he did play, unlike Evan Neal, he played lesser competition because he was playing at Northern Iowa. The speed rushers can sometimes get around him. Sometimes the speed rushers can eat him up a little bit. And overall, even though I think he's capable in space and can pass protect well, he's probably better in a power scheme where he can just go like, okay, there's your guy, go run him over. The zone scheme, I don't know. He can probably do it, but maybe not great. All right, next up, we're going to do Daniel Falele. And this has been a man crush of mine for about a year now. I love this guy. And if you look at the big board rankings, it looks like he's rounding out at about a second round pick. If we could make him one of our second round picks, even though nominally it might be a little bit of a reach, I'm throwing a party because I love this guy. It's a risk. 100% it's a risk. But this Golden Gopher is somebody who I would be willing to take a risk on right now. 6'8", 384 pounds? Like, you got to be kidding me. Normally, you would look at this guy and go, well, you got to kick him inside, but he's too tall, so he's not going to have a position. But I don't see any reason to believe that he can't be a right tackle in the NFL. 5.440, which for his size is really good. He did not run at the combine, though. 35.1-inch arms, so very long arms. Or, well, not very long, but more than long enough. And the big boards, they all have him in that second round range, except for PFF that has him as a third rounder, and CBS has him as a late first. So you are probably looking at one of those mid-second round picks. If we need a right tackle when this pick comes up, I'm all for it. His combination of size and agility, you're not going to find it very often. You might not find it for the next 10 years. He's only been playing football for a few years, so he's probably going to get a lot better just because he starts picking up the finer points of the game. He's been improving massively with each season that he's played. So you give him a couple years, he has a chance to be a really dominant right tackle. Very powerful. Already you can see the strength. You can see how he uses his massive frame to just overpower opponents. Now, the issues with Falele are obvious. His height creates problems. He's too tall. He can get out leveraged. I also don't know if he's an amazing fit for this offense, although, again, the tackle spot mobility doesn't matter as much. He's not great at the second level, throwing blocks on linebackers. His technique is going to need work. You're probably looking at a guy who might need to be coached up for a year and then might need to learn on the job for a second year, and then he's ready to dominate. But out of the box, you're getting somebody with a lot of really cool tools, but not a great idea of how to use them. His instincts are not very good, mostly probably because he hasn't played at the position very long. So this is a bit of a project, but it's a project we can afford to take on if we really are bringing Shell back for 1 year, because Shell could just basically camp out there for a season, or we let Curhan go out there and see what's up. Either way, I think there is room on this team for a Falele, although admittedly it would be a little bit better if Curhan hadn't impressed so much at the end of the year last year. That's a good problem to have. Okay, next up we're going to go with a local guy, Abraham Lucas of the Washington State Cougars. This is another guy a lot of people would really like to bring in, and there's good reason why. 6'6", 315 pounds, so a little bit leaner than some of the right tackles you typically see, but he has plenty of justification for that. 4.9240, sub 540 time. Really impressive. 7.253 cone. Very good. 4.420 yard shuttle. I'm sorry, this is supposed to be an S for shuttle, but this guy moves really, really well for a man of his stature. 24 bench presses. 34-inch arms almost. The measurables are on lockdown, baby. And if you look at the big boards, he's starting to get some attention as a second-round pick from like ESPN and PFF. Draft Network, Walter Football, Tankathon, Sports Illustrated say third-round pick. CBS says fifth-round pick. Now, there's no way that's true anymore. I think you are probably looking at a third-round pick, and it wouldn't amaze me if Lucas snuck into that second round. So if he gets there when our third-round pick comes up, I'm interested. The things that to like about Lucas would be he slides well, laterally, back and forth in his pass pro set. Knows how to keep in front of his guy. He's hard to get around. You're not going to speed rush around him and get to that quarterback quickly. He plays tough. He's got a lot of toughness. He's got the right mentality to just dominate people. Even though he doesn't necessarily have all the strength and power to do it yet, he can get that. He can definitely play in space. He's experienced. He, I think, had 3 full years starting at Wazoo, and he was durable, didn't get hurt a lot. His technique overall is pretty solid. The drawbacks of Abraham Lucas would be the penalties. He did pick up a few false start penalties, more than you would like at college. He needs to add some strength, needs to pick up some power. And once he gets that, while I do think he'll be fine in his own scheme, he might fit better in a power scheme. I'm not sure. I don't think this is a red flag, but it's worth noting for at least a few seconds here that his future in the NFL might be in a more of a power scheme. But Abraham Lucas is a guy who made himself some money at the Combine, and I would definitely be interested to see what he could do if he's there in the third round. I would be interested to make him a Seahawk. A couple more guys to get through here. Rasheed Walker from Penn State. This guy's a little bit of a meme, but no denying the talent. Penn State, 6'6", 313 pounds, very similar frame to Abraham Lucas. Did not run as good of a 40, 5.12, but still fine. 33.5-inch arms about. And his big board rankings are all over the place. Look at this. TDN says 4th rounder. Walter Football says 2nd rounder. PFF, CBS, 4th rounder. ESPN says undrafted. So kind of all over the place here. And the reasons why are pretty clear. There's a wide dearth of takes on Rasheed Walker. The things to like about him would be his experience level. He, I think, had 3 full years starting at Penn State for the Nittany Lions. He could develop to play left tackle. I think he played left tackle at Penn State. It's not beyond the pale to say he could develop to be a good left tackle as well. In the NFL, that is. He's very wide, so it's hard to get around him. You're not going to speed rush around him very easily. He's a good athlete, and he's also strong against bull rushers. So really nice pass protector overall. You try to speed rush him, he can keep up with you. If you try to bull rush him, he's strong enough to stop you. He's also pretty good at the second level. So he's a scheme fit. I think he can play in his own scheme, no problem. The issues with Rasheed Walker would just be the fact that he's a little bit of a space case, I guess you could call him. A little bit of a goofball. There are some concerns about his effort level. His technique does need to get improved a little bit. He's one of those guys who you would watch for a few plays and say, this guy should be a first-round pick. Then you watch him for the next couple plays and you go, this guy needs to get taken off the field because he can't keep focused. So the mental part of the game might not be there for him. He's somebody who will need to be really, really coached up in multiple areas, both in terms of his technique and his general mindset. And at this point, you wouldn't call him a great run blocker. He's more of a pass protector, which may eventually make him more of a left tackle guy. I still view him as a right tackle overall, but it's not out of the question to say he could do both or maybe only one. So time will tell there. It seems to me you could probably get him in the 3rd round. And if you get Rasheed Walker in the 3rd round, I'm okay with it. If you get him in the 4th round, now I'm actually a little fist pumping on that one because there's a lot of potential there and you're really mitigating the risk. But I don't know about making him a borderline blue chip selection. And the talent is there. There's no doubt. He's got a lot of talent. He's got the great frame, but I'm just a little... I have some questions about his desire. And those are it for the right tackle prospects, the top ones. We're going to do sleepers tomorrow, but let me know what you guys think about this crop. Some good guys. I would be fine with pretty much any of them as long as you didn't overdraft Rasheed Walker. But Abraham Lucas is very appealing. Falele has been my man crush for a while. Penning, as long as you don't use your top pick on him. And Evan Neal's pretty much a, lock it down blue chipper. So I like this crop. Let me know what you guys think about him. See you guys tomorrow with the right tackle sleepers, and go Hawks.